Good morning and welcome to this formal meeting of the Children and Young People Scrutiny Committee. My name is Councillor Rob Kendrick and I'm Chairman of the committee. Welcome to all members and officers present today. In particular, I'd like to warmly welcome Councillor Richard Cleaver, who's back with us on the committee today in place of Councillor Baxter. The video feed of this meeting is being broadcast live via the County Council's website, and I'd also like to welcome members of the press and public who are watching our meeting online today. As the meeting is being streamed in the usual way, I'd like to remind you all that your comments will remain accessible online and can be reported by the media. Welcome also to the following senior officers from Children's Services: Heather Sandy, Executive Director, Children's Services; Linda Dennett, Assistant Director, Children's Health and Commissioning; Tara Jones, Assistant Director, Children's Safeguarding; and Martin Smith, Assistant Director, Children's Education. Welcome also to Councillor Mrs Patricia Badwell, Executive Councillor for Children's Services, Community Safety, Procurement and Migration, and her Executive Support Councillor, Councillor Stephen Rowe, who are attending the meeting today. I'd like to begin with the usual health and safety announcement. There's no fire drill planned this morning. In the event of the fire alarm sounding, we need to leave the council chamber through the rear doors and leave the building through reception into the front car park and await further instructions. Can I please remind everyone to ensure their mobiles and other devices are on silent mode, and also when invited to speak, can you please ensure you switch your microphone on, otherwise those attending the meeting via Teams and online will not be able to hear you. Please be aware you need to speak directly into the microphones to be heard, and if you wish to speak during the meeting, please raise your hand and Chiara will make a note. Now, let's move on to the business of the agenda today. Item 1 is apologies for absence and replacement members. Jess, do we have any apologies?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. We've received apologies from Councillors Matthews, Briggs and Reid. We've also received apologies from Martin Kyle and Joe Kavanagh. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2 is declarations of members' interests. Members of the committee are reminded that they only need to declare any relevant interests which have not been declared on their declaration of pecuniary interest forms. Do any members wish to declare an interest? No. Thank you. Moving on to item 3, minutes of the Children and Young People Scrutiny meeting held on the 14th of June 2024. And this is to confirm and sign the minutes from the meeting of the committee held on the 14th of June this year, as set out on pages 5 to 14 as a correct record. Do I have a proposer? Thank you. Councillor Sear. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Smith. Thank you. You are now voting on whether you agree the minutes are a correct record. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. Any abstentions? And none against. Thank you. That's the minutes agreed. Thank you. We'll move on to item 4, which is announcements by the Chairman, Executive Councillors and Chief Officers. I only have one announcement to make, and that's just to remind everyone that I'm intending to have a customary 10-minute comfort break before item 7 today, and perhaps it would be quite important to rehydrate ourselves. So that's before item 7. Executive Councillor announcements. Are there any Executive Councillor announcements? Councillor Mrs Bradwell?
Yeah, sorry, yes. Just a couple really. Just wanted to mention, and I don't know whether how many, no, I don't think there was any members, well, Steve and I were there, the Fab Awards that we held a couple of weeks ago. These are awards for our children in care, you know, whether it be doing extra things and really good things in school, or whether it's just something they've done at home. But we just like to, you know, have these. They've been going on now for a long, long time, but it's a lovely day because they do activities in the morning, have it at the university, activities in the morning, then we have lunch, and then we go into the formal bit of them receiving certificates and that for, as I say, for all sorts of reasons. But it is a great day, and I know there's a number of officers there with us. But yeah, I would say another year, if you can come along. It is really, really something that's actually sometimes I have tears in my eyes because I just get quite emotional. But you know, there are some young people you know, haven't had a very good start in life, and they're there enjoying the day, and you know, feeling good about themselves because we're celebrating for them. And then the second thing, I'll stop talking, is just wanted to mention, it's on the agenda today, how well the HAF programme's gone this summer. We've got more providers and, you know, families are really interested in the children going there and these activities. So just wanted to mention that, but I'm not going to say any more because I know the report's on the agenda today. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks very much. Yes, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the FAB Awards this year, but I recall when I went last year, there was a young person who'd actually gone to university in Belgium, and she came and made a speech, and it was very emotional. Other members will recall that. Yeah, that's great. Thanks very much. Do we have any Chief Officer announcements, Heather Sandy?
None from me, Chair, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 5, which is the Lincolnshire Secure Children's Home acceptance of the DFE grant and main works contract. This item, which can be found on pages 15 to 34 of your agenda pack, is for pre-decision scrutiny prior to decision by the Executive on the 3rd of September this year. And the actions required of the committee, just to recap, are firstly, to consider the attached report and to determine whether the committee supports the recommendations to the Executive as set out in the report, and secondly, to agree any additional comments to be passed on to the Executive in relation to this item. The 3 recommendations to the Executive are set out on page 18 of the agenda pack. I just need to remind the committee that Appendix B is exempt. If the committee wishes to discuss this appendix, we will need to vote to move into exempt session. Can we please have questions and comments on the open report and Appendix A first? And if there are any questions and comments on Appendix B, can you leave them until we've voted to go into exempt session? So I'd like to invite Matthew Stapleton, Senior Project Manager, Corporate Property, to present this report, but we also have Dave Pennington, Head of Property Development, Matthew Clayton, Head of Education Support, Rachel Freeman, Head of Service, Children in Care and Residential Estates, and Dave Clark, Service Lead, Secure Estate, in attendance to help answer any questions. So it's over to you, Matt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have both a presentation and a fly-through, although looking at the wonders of modern technology, I'm not able to share them. So if I can ask Jess, first of all, to put up the PowerPoint presentation. It is literally a handful of slides that I will talk through. This is the secure unit. Members may well be aware that we've been to this committee twice previously for other decisions, scrutiny prior to other decisions. This is for the main works contract with Wilmot Dixon, which is due to be signed in September. We are awaiting confirmation from DFE. If you could move on, please, Jess. We've come previously in July 22 and with the enabling works in September 23. This is for a replacement of the existing secure home facility in Sleaford. We're looking at a new 28-bed secure unit. It is very much a national resource that DFE are very keen to fund, although it will help children's services to place children from Lincolnshire and the surrounding area far closer to home. We've had previous grant funding from DFE of approximately £6 million, which has gone into the design and enabling works of this. They are DFE due to confirm formally the full grant funding of this project by 31st of July. And then the hope is that the exec will support this decision on 3rd of September, accepting the grant funding from DFE and entering into the main works contract, so that works can start almost immediately thereafter, scheduled for 9th of September, roughly a 2-year programme, which will be then completed end of 2026, and a few months then of training and building set up to get it open for early 2027. Jess, if you could move on. This is the design of the building. You will see 5 houses, education space, health areas, sports hall, etc., etc., and then just a handful of elevations, if you could move on, please. To give you an idea, so the main frontage, top right is a view from inside one of the courtyards. What it doesn't have is some of the furniture, planting, etc., that will go in there later. Bottom left is a view of the main entrance. Visitors will go into the left, staff will go into the right, and then just a view from the neighbouring, I call it field, the grassed area to the south of the site, just what it will look like from outside. just on the outskirts of Sleaford. We have a fly-through which gives you an idea of what it's like to go into the building, round through the education and health areas and into one of the houses. Jess, if you could possibly go on to that one, please. So this takes you in through, as a visitor would, in through the main reception area, reception to your left. You'll see seating area where parents and visitors can gather. We then go in through the secure line into the main part of the building. Please be aware this is not obviously what it will look like. It's all quite drab at the moment. What you will notice as we go through is that each area of the building is colour-coded, so that as you come round to the right, you will see the green is for education, and this will help both the children living within the home and visitors, obviously, to orientate themselves, to know whereabouts in the building they are, and what kind of facilities they will find there. As we come round, there are classrooms to the right, courtyard space to the left. We come further round, past further classrooms, and then on the right you'll see what's known as a bus stop, so just an area where children who are perhaps having a bit of crisis or being a bit disruptive can be just held for a few minutes to calm down with staff before going back in. Then we come through into the health. You will notice this is now blue highlights, health area, so there will be therapy rooms, there will be consultation rooms where health professionals can work with the children. This is now coming through out into one of the courtyards. Each home will have its own dedicated courtyard, so the children who are housed within there, 6 children in each home, will have their own courtyard they can play in, get external exercise, perhaps dine outside, and this then takes you back in to one of the individual homes and just the main living area. This is almost like the front hall. Kids leave their coats and their shoes, and then into the main living area within one of the homes. And that's it. Thank you very much, Jess. So this is a massively important project as far as the DFE are concerned. It will house 28 children who are either within the criminal justice system or there for health reasons. The DFE are fully committed to this. They are going through their technical assurance process at the moment, due to have confirmation of funding by the end of this month. So we would very much like the Scrutiny Committee to support this and recommend to the Executive that they approve the signing of contracts in September so we can get on with this really fantastic project. It's a huge amount of money coming into the county, and it really will help Dave Clark and his team within the home carry on providing a service which they've done wonderfully for the last 20 odd years in a building that now really isn't fit, and this will help them do so for the next 20 to 30 years and more. So thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Matt. It certainly is an impressive project, particularly seeing the visuals. I'd like to invite members of the committee now to comment on the open report and Appendix A only. Chiara, do we have any speakers? Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chairman. It's a very brief question. Are officers confident the DFE will basically stump up the difference that's arisen?
There have been a variety of conversations with the DFE. Obviously, the cost of the project is an ever-moving feast, but we've been having conversations with them. The difference the DFE had been predicted between what they had said they would fund and where we were at. We have now had further conversations with them, and they have committed to funding the full amount as it currently stands. And that is what we're expecting the 31st of July. So, yes, they are fully committed, Councillor Smith, yeah.
Councillor Mrs. Bradwell, yes?
Yeah, because obviously this facility, as I've said, is for across England. So obviously the DFE have got, you know, they want us to do this, but they want us to do it because they need someone to provide additional places which this will give. So although, you know, our young people here, if have to go in there, will have a great place now to go. Not saying, Dave's sat and looking at me, but what we've got now is good. I was only there last week, and, you know, with the people who work there, Dave running it, do the best they can, but it's very small and has been there quite a number of years now. So this will be, you know, a state-of-the-art place for young people to go. And as has been said, you know, having so many areas where the young people can go out and do sports, because obviously we've not got that much room at Sleaford. So for me, it is something that's going to make a tremendous difference to the people who have to go and stay in there for wrongdoing.
Thank you. Councillor Armiger, I believe you have a question.
Sorry, technical issues. What is the long-term financial plan for operating and maintaining the new facility?
Yeah, currently the Department for Education holds full responsibility for modernisation and upkeep of the building. So in any given year, we are applying for Department for Education grant funding. So we'll put all the list of developments or upgrades that we require, and then every year we receive additional grant funding to maintain the building.
Thank you. Do you have any further questions at this stage, Kiara? Can I just ask a question? On page 23, the report mentions that a wing of accommodation was removed from the first floor space to try and make savings during the design phase. Does the design of the building allow for sort of expansion and for a further accommodation? You know, if additional funding, for example, becomes available in the future?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In terms of the space that was taken out, it was purely office space on the first floor. That would be, given the design of the building and what it's constructed of, a lot of precast concrete, that would be relatively easy to reintroduce if further funding were available, or if further programmes came forward, such as the secure stairs, which has led to a lot of the expansion. In terms of the expansion of the accommodation itself, given the design of the building and the individual homes and the fact we have a perimeter corridor encompassing the whole building, it would be difficult to add further bed spaces, but in terms of the support and ancillary spaces, that would be relatively easy to add back on the first floor if necessary.
Thanks very much. Do we have any other questions? Oh, Councillor Cleaver.
On the exempt section, if we want to move on to that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into that in a minute then, yeah. If there are no further questions on Appendix A, we'll move on to the exempt section. So obviously we need to, I need to propose the following. I propose the following motion, that under section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972, the public and press be excluded from the meeting for Appendix B of Agenda Item 5 on the grounds that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 3 of Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Smith. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. There's none against, no abstentions. That's agreed. For any members of the press and public watching, we will be back in open session and streaming live again before the committee takes a vote on this item. We will just pause until the live stream is switched off. I'm waiting for the nod to confirm that. you very much. We'll move back into open session. Thanks. So we're now back in open session and streaming live again. I can therefore move to the proposal. I propose that we support the 3 recommendations to the Executive and that our comments be passed on to the Executive. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Sear. Thank you very much. The comments from the committee's discussion on this report have been recorded by Chiara, Scrutiny Officer, for passing on to the Executive. And I think we've had 1 or 2 comments made which have been noted. We'll now vote on the item. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. That is unanimous. Thanks very much. That is carried. We'll now move on to item 6, which is the draft Lincolnshire Youth Justice Plan for 2024. Before I move on to that, can I thank the officers for their explanation and response to questions this morning. Thank you very much. We'll move on, as I say, we'll move on to item 6, which is the draft Lincolnshire Youth Justice Plan for 2024. This item, which will be found on pages 35 to 162 of the agenda pack, invites the committee to consider the draft Lincolnshire Youth Justice Plan for 2024-25 prior to its approval by the County Council at its meeting due to be held on the 13th of September this year. And just to recap on the actions required of us, we're required to endorse the Youth Justice Plan for 24-25 attached at Appendix A. And secondly, to recommend to the County Council that the Lincolnshire Youth Justice Plan 2024-25 be approved. I'd like to therefore invite Andy Cook, Head of Service, Families First for Children Pathfinder, and Amy Lawson, Team Manager, Youth Offending, to present the report. So it's over to Andy and Amy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As you say, I'm just stepping back into my youth justice shoes today from my Pathfinder role, just covering for Tracy Evans, who would have been here today, and also obviously to acknowledge that, take no credit whatsoever, the work that's gone into the plan is from Tracy and the team in respect to that, and we'll just talk in relation to obviously how much has gone into contributing to the Youth Justice Plan. I think it's probably just worth reflecting on the basis of where the plan originates from and the purpose of it. And obviously there is a statutory and legal duty on local authorities to formulate the provision of youth justice services. That sits within the Crime and Disorder Act 1998 and obviously has the oversight of the Ministry of Justice through the Youth Justice Board. And a condition of our Youth Justice Board grant, which is a significant amount of funding, is the provision of those statutory services. Therefore, the plan is a key element of that in terms of setting out how we will provide those services and giving the assurance in relation to that. I think it's also probably an opportune moment to say that the format and structure of the plan is a very prescribed one by the Youth Justice Board. The plan is compliant with their guidance and what they expect to be contained within it. It will not have escaped anyone's notice. It is quite a lengthy plan. I think that's fair to say. And I probably just want to address as to why that is. It's because of the prescriptive nature of what the Youth Justice Board expect to be in it that obviously contributes towards the length of it. But I think there's also another reason, which is a significant positive about what we do in Lincolnshire, is that the breadth and the offer for children and young people is as broad as it is in terms of the range of different services. So, for example, Positive Futures, Youth and Community Development, Early Help, Reparation, Joint Diversionary Panel, to name but a few, and the Complex Needs Health Service as well, which many services don't actually have. So I think there's a contribution to the fact that we have a really broad and extensive offer, and that's obviously work towards that plan being in the way that it is. But as I said, it's also a reflection, the plan's also a reflection of the fact that youth justice services are a multi-agency and multidisciplinary approach as well. So everything that we achieve is done in the conjunction and support of our key partners, including police, health, education, and other key colleagues, probation, and all of those that are represented within the Strategic Management Board as well. So as I said, nothing that could be achieved within the plan when you're looking back at past achievements and in terms of what we're projecting forward to try and achieve is all within the context of working in a really truly multi-agency and multidisciplinary way as well. So as I said, the paper sets out that the plans involved a lot of consultation and planning with lots of different key contributors towards that, including staff, partner agencies, the collation of performance data, and the views of children and young people as well, and their families. So just to break down what the key sort of components are of the plan, there's an overview of the demographics of the youth justice cohort. There's the analysis of some performance data within that contributes towards the plan. The financial framework and resources, because obviously, as I said, there's multiple funding sources that support the work that the service does. So that's money from key partners, including the Police and Crime Commissioner, the local authority, and the Youth Justice Board as well, and support from other agencies in terms of staff, such as from police and probation. Measuring the output and outcomes and impact of our work from the previous year is a key aspect of the plan. Looking forward and highlighting any risks and challenges is obviously really important in terms of what's coming over the horizon, and setting out those priorities and actions for the forthcoming year. I think, as I said, performance in relation to those key areas, both measured against sort of regional and national comparatives, remains really strong. There's been endorsement of that through objective and independent endorsement of that through the inspections that have been undertaken both by HMIP and also by Ofsted. And obviously there'll be a new inspection framework coming from HMIP, probably starting in 2025. As I said, the service Future for Me is committed to working and continuing its work with those key stakeholders as well. They've looked at obviously those potential risks and issues in relation to, as I said, what may be coming over the horizon. Some of those things are obviously issues such as funding, the membership of the board. There's a really strong focus around ensuring children are in education, particularly within that cohort, looking at youth detention, and also ensuring quality assurances at the forefront, particularly obviously in relation to forthcoming inspections. So those are overseen routinely through the Strategic Management Board, which obviously meets regularly, and obviously those strategic members of that board are able to support any issues that arise, and obviously contribute also via their agencies in terms of staffing. And as I said, a key element of the plan is the look back at what's been achieved, but also that future focus. So there's a strong focus on workforce development and the importance of having a highly skilled and highly trained workforce, which there's a huge amount of investment in, and setting out all those developments in relation to that. Evidence-based practice and innovation. I think the service sits at the forefront of innovation, particularly against, that's been highlighted, time and time again through inspections as well. So I think really pushing the boundaries of what it does, and particularly in terms of the range of the offer that's provided. But I think it's also about recognising that the needs of children change over time, and keeping up to date with that, and also some of the risks that children face also change, and ensuring that we can reflect those changing needs and risks as well. And also, I think there's a really strong element of collaboration with the Children's Safeguarding Partnership and the Safer Lincolnshire Partnership in terms of the work that we all do and contribute towards keeping children safe as well, but particularly for this cohort, which is so critical. So priorities, obviously, within the plan have been identified, and those have been fed in. We believe it's an ambitious plan. It's one that obviously sets out all those key components of what we offer, that's very visible for people to see. And as I said, from an assurance perspective, that will continue to be monitored and managed through the Strategic Management Board. As I said, that meets on a quarterly basis, and those youth justice services, continue to be really highly regarded and highly effective. I feel that the plan reflects that it's a forward-looking and innovative service, and I think there are some fantastic examples contained within about how we support children, particularly within those complex needs service, and also in addressing those children with trauma as well. And if you look at restoring family relationships, again, it's another fantastic example of how we've been really innovative in supporting children. So, as I said, I'm happy that's the plan. The plan is really, as I said, the prescribed version of what the Youth Justice Board expect us to submit in order to be grant compliant. And as I said, I'm more than happy to take any questions in relation to that. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Andy. We'll now move on to questions and comments from members. Do any members have any questions or comments? Councillor Armage.
How will the plan address potential concerns from the community regarding the placement of the youth facilities?
Sorry, could you just repeat the last bit? Sorry,
How would the plan address potential concerns from the community regarding the placement of youth facilities?
the placement.
Yeah.
Are you referring to youth centres?
No, maybe it's the wrong question. Hang on then. How will the Youth Justice Service collaborate with other agencies such as schools, social services, mental health providers to address the needs of the young people?
Okay, I think that's really good question. It happens routinely, both at an operational level in terms of the staff that we have seconded within the service. So obviously that's police, health, education, all of those key staff are all set within the service. But I think it's also done, as I said, in a really robust and transparent way through the management board. So just where I was talking about the strategic management board, all the key members of that board are representatives of those key agencies. So it's really the forum, if you like, by which that work's driven forward to ensure that we're working in a really collaborative way. And I think that's clearly one of the huge strengths about the youth justice work that we do, is that it is multi-agency and it is multidisciplinary. So I think all those agencies do come together. So any plans that we develop are multi-agency plans. They're done in conjunction with that. We've obviously we do a huge amount of work, in terms of collaboration with schools as well, education being absolutely at the forefront of what we do. And as I said, I think we've got an extensive offer around health support to children and young people, both via our CAMS offer, by a complex needs health team. So as I said, all of those components do come together, and they're clearly mapped out, they're planned, and those decisions are made in absolute sort of collaboration, really. So.
Thanks very much. Do we have any further questions? If not, I've got a couple of questions, if I may. The first one is, I understand that the Youth Justice Board for England and Wales, in its sort of guidance about plans and guidance for youth justice services, says it should be available and accessible to local leaders and local communities, so they can understand, what the services are about. Looking at the draft plan, it seems quite corporate in its language, and on page 148 it refers to Laura, Tanya and Karen to attend train-the-trainer sessions. That sort of comes across like it's more of an internal document. I mean, has it been sort of reviewed by comms department here to ensure it meets the necessary guidelines and make it more user-friendly, shall we say, for those outside the system?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think one of the things I'd say, that point we was referencing about that training is an internal development plan, so that's an appendices. So I think that when it is published, that will come out. It's just been included within there for that purpose. I think on the point about the corporate plan, I think that's absolutely fair. I think that is driven by the prescriptive nature of what the Youth Justice Board expect. But I think what I would absolutely say is, and I think one of the things we do need to commit to, is working with the comms team to almost create, even if it were a summary that could be a child-friendly version of that we would be able to share with children and families. Because I think, as you said, there's such work gone into this. It'd be a real shame if we weren't able to convey that to our children, families, communities in the way that you've described. So absolutely, I think that's something we'll go away and be able, and as I said, it will be summarised, obviously, but it can be done in a way that's much more friendly. And as I said, that plan serves the purposes for the Youth Justice Board in terms of getting the grant and being grant compliant. But I think there's some work that we can do in terms of a child-friendly, family-friendly executive summary, if that's satisfying.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth when you said executive summary, but obviously a user-friendly executive summary sounds a great idea. Yeah, that's fantastic. Do we have any other questions from anyone else? No one's indicated. Councillor Mrs. Bradwell. Could you put your mic on, please?
Only just a thought, but obviously in here there's the mention of the happening at Sleaford, and I did just wonder, because obviously I've been out there, it's very thought-provoking for young people who would go through the corridors of the happening, because it is like that. And I just wondered, would members of this committee like to go over there and have a look? Because it really does these young people who have obviously are on the cusp of getting themselves into deep trouble, I would say. And going there, I just think it's just an amazing place where they go from room to room, and actually it would make them think, it made me think, you know, some of the time as well. So I just wonder, because I don't think you've been and had a visit out there, but I'm sure for members it is a really good place to go, and obviously it's being developed by Susanna. She was one of the main, she's a senior police officer, I think she's superintendent. She was the main person who started to put this together, but I don't know what Andy thinks, but it's...
Yeah, I agree, and I think, like you said, there's an immersive experience there that's really strong, you know, for those young people that are brought along to it. So I think we can do that liaison with colleagues, and you know, work to look at a suitable time and date that we could share, and involve councillors if they were happy to come along. It's the old Sleaford police station site, so yeah.
Yeah, that sounds an excellent idea, and I think we were together on that trip, looking at the facilities there, and it was very impressive, particularly the audiovisual stuff. And I know that they've been working with schools in the area and around the county, getting input from young people. So it's been a really interesting, innovative concept. So yes, if it could be arranged for any member of this committee who wishes to go on a visit, I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is. I think it's a pioneering project, actually. Another Lincolnshire project leading the way, as we might say. Heather.
Yes, so can I suggest that if people are interested in that, if you get details to Jess, and then we can coordinate it if Jess looks for some dates and things.
That seems an excellent idea. Thanks very much. Do we have any further questions or comments from members? No? Okay, I'll move to proposal then, that we endorse the Lincolnshire Youth Justice Plan for 2024 attached at Appendix A, and that we recommend to the County Council that the Lincolnshire Youth Justice Plan for 24-25 be approved at its meeting scheduled to be held on the 13th of September 2024. Can you please raise a hand if you agree? I think that is unanimous. Thank you very much. That is agreed. Now, I know we've only been going a short while, but some members may welcome the chance to grab a drink before we move on to the rest of the agenda. So if we can have a 10-minute break and be back at 10 to 11. Thank you very much. Welcome back, everyone, to the second part of this morning's meeting. I hope everyone's sufficiently refreshed, and we can continue with the next agenda item, which is agenda item 7, and that's Holiday Activities and Food Programme, the annual report for 23-24. And this item, which can be found on pages 163 to 172 of your agenda pack, provides an update on the Holiday Activities and Food Programme, known as HAF, for 2023 to 24, and offers recommendations to develop the HAF programme for 24-25. And just to recap on the actions required of us as a committee, firstly to review and comment on the HAF programme annual report for 2023-24, and support the recommendations to develop the HAF programme for 24-25. And I would like to invite Nikki Myers, Head of Service, Early Years and Childcare Support, to present the report. We also have Geraldine O'Neill, Sustainability and Development Manager, in attendance to help answer any questions. So without delay, it's over to you, Nikki.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'll just pull out some of the main body of the report for you. So the sufficiency of places for children across the holiday periods has been mapped against wider childcare sufficiency for all families, including working families and those that meet eligibility to access funded places. We carry out mapping of the available holiday provision in Lincolnshire to ensure that sufficient levels of holiday provision exists. This has been considered alongside data showing the location of free school meal eligible children, and has allowed us to develop a local plan for provision and drive our commissioning activity based on what we know about local supply and demand. The HAF programme has grown year on year, and the number of clubs available has almost doubled since 2021. These have included schools, early years, leisure centres, sports grounds, community halls and forest schools across Lincolnshire. Feedback has been very positive. Children have been very happy and have access to a wide variety of activities, sports and games, enrichment opportunities such as music, drama, arts and crafts, as well as visits and trips which have been particularly popular. Children have also loved being involved in cooking. Parents have also reported their satisfaction of the HAF programme and the experience their children have received on many occasions. Food and nutrition and the healthy meal is a big part of the HAF programme. Feedback has been positive around the hot food, and clubs have seen less packed lunches from home being brought in. Families are now becoming more aware that HAF includes a healthy meal and snacks, as well as access to free drinking water. Children are enjoying a wide variety of food groups. A sample menu is provided to all of our HAF clubs. Any provider who does not follow the LCC menu must submit their menus for checking against compliance for the school food standards. Many recommendations and healthier options have been introduced, and some early year settings advising that they will use the recommendations during term time to improve the nutritional profile of food offered. In 2023-24, we saw significant investment to the HAF programme, totaling from private providers, totaling over £70,000. Lincolnshire Co-op provided free fruit and vegetable vouchers for the majority of HAF delivery. The fruit and vegetables were used as part of food nutrition education as well as snacks. We encouraged HAF providers to exchange their vouchers for fruit and vegetables which children may not have access to at home or at school. Melon, kiwi, blueberries, avocado, sugar snap peas, celery were particular favourites of our children in Lincolnshire. Many HAF providers reported that children said that they did not have a toothbrush at home and were delighted with the dental packs. Public Health have confirmed funding to provide dental packs for the remainder of the HAF-funded programme. Branston Limited has also supported the HAF for most of the grant-funded period, providing potatoes, specific chef sessions and recipe cards. Ping Golfway and the Golf Foundation were new providers of funding to the HAF programme in 23-24 and allowed for more fantastic new activities and experiences for our Lincolnshire children. In terms of a financial summary for 23-24, Lincolnshire grant for this period was fully utilised. We have invested in places to support the increasing demand for children with special educational needs and disabilities. We have supported the increase in food costs and providing vouchers to support healthy meals. Additional funding has also been utilised for enrichment activities. We will continue to monitor the non-take-up of places and address ways to reduce this. And we have completed a parent survey to gather evidence of any barriers in attendance, and will be reviewing this data in more detail. So recommendations. Special education needs and disability and secondary provision continues to be an area for further growth. We have utilised the funding to supply SEND places, and all those offered are fully booked in Lincolnshire. We have reviewed the process for allocating 15% for non-free school meals eligible children to ensure places are available for the children and families most in need. And we will continue to be creative with partnerships to endeavour to grow the programme further, encouraging investment and donations. We are constantly reviewing the availability of half clubs in areas across Lincolnshire to ensure there is a really good coverage. We'd now like to play you a short video of a winter half delivery in 2023, as we believe this demonstrates the wonderful impact that our clubs do have on our children. So I'll look to Jess, please. Thank you, Jess.
What's the question again?
Do you want the Unleash Your Drive logo showing?
Let me just have you step a bit closer.
Sorry.
No. All good. Can you just step back a little bit? Sorry.
No, that's all right.
Ready?
Yeah, good to go?
Recording.
My name is Stacey McNicholas. I'm the Regional Development Officer for the Golf Foundation. We're here today with the Lincolnshire Holiday Activity and Food Programme. We're doing a winter golf day and it's really exciting. We've got golf way activities, we're also doing Get Glowing Golf, we're making snow globes, and we're also designing photo frames. The youngsters are also currently in the food hall, they're having their lovely Christmas dinner and they're going away with a nutritional meal, which is fantastic.
I'm Coach Sully. I work for Premier Education as a senior activity professional. So obviously golf is a unique sport. It's a fantastic sport. It's something that a lot of kids maybe don't get into as much. You know, you've got your generic sports like your football, tag rugby, all those kind of sports. But what we've got going on today, it's going to develop a lot of skills for them, whether it's teamwork, whether it's a lot of patience as well, a lot of hand-eye coordination going on. So there's lots of different kind of skills that will be going into that.
I'm Katie Caudron. I work for Lincolnshire County Council and I'm a HAF project officer.
My name's Sarah Tyrrell. I work for Lincolnshire County Council and I'm one of the HAF project officers.
So within the golfing activities being delivered by Premier Education and Stacey McNicholas from the Golf Foundation, we're obviously teaching children new golfing skills, which is a sport and an activity that they probably wouldn't get to do within school, for example. So they're learning a new skill in terms of golf and skill acquisition through that route, but it also teaches them personal skills such as communication, team building. It's developing their confidence and self-esteem, but things like honesty and discipline and self-belief. So they're really obviously key important factors within golf itself, but obviously necessary life skills of which they will need as well.
So we've got 30 primary HAF age children, 5 to 11, and we've also invited along some secondary girls from Lincoln, from Strong Girls Club, and there's 12 of those who've come along as well today. We're very fortunate that Ping have actually offered to loan out the golf club, the local golf club, so the secondary girls are going along there to go on the golf range.
My name is Kristen Ingram Morgan. I am the founder of the Strong Girl Squad. We're a not-for-profit based in Lincoln, and our mission is to introduce as many teenage girls, secondary age girls as possible to the sport of strength and conditioning. So we were invited to this golf day by Lincolnshire County Council. They have been amazing with us in terms of supporting our project, and they know that I'm always looking for opportunities to introduce the girls to new experiences and new sports. And so when the golf day came up, they invited us to bring as many girls as we could fit in a minivan to, just to take part in this fun day. And they're behind me at the driving range having an absolute whale of a time. We know that golf is one of the sports that was traditionally women were excluded from, and we would love to do anything we can to sort of redress that balance.
the partnerships that we've been fortunate to have to help us deliver the Golf Winter Day today in Gainsborough. We've had Golfway, we've had Ping, Branston Potatoes in Lincolnshire, and we've also got the Golf Foundation. So thank you very much to all those partnerships, because we wouldn't be able to deliver this session if it wasn't for them.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that video. Just wanted to update you. We're just getting ready for summer delivery now, so we're really delighted to have 74 providers across 125 different locations registered for half of this summer. Delivery dates are from the 22nd of July right through to the 3rd of September, and so far we've got 90% of places booked. Eligible children can access 16 funded sessions across the summer period. We've also secured £14,000 for additional investment from our partners for the summer programme, and we'll be delivering a golf festival on the 21st of August following the success of the Golf Winter Day that we've just demonstrated. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Nikki. I think that was fascinating, and having been to one of the providers in my own division, I think it was last year, I saw how much the children were enjoying it and getting so much out of it. So we now move to any speakers with questions for Nikki. Councillor Armiger.
While the programme boasts high attendance rates, what specific strategies are in place to identify and reach out to children most in need, particularly those with SEND or from disadvantaged backgrounds?
Thank you. I think it is really important to be really inclusive, and we've worked really hard with a number of our childcare providers to increase the places on offer for children with SEND. In summer 2022, we had 38 providers offering a total of 221 SEND places, and by summer 2023, we had 110 clubs providing 618 SEND places. Some providers required additional funding to meet the needs of children and young people, and we've allocated this from the core funding so that we can meet those needs to really be inclusive across Lincolnshire.
Thanks very much. Councillor Cleaver, you have a question, I believe.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your presentation. I'm delighted to be back on this committee to hear this, because I remember when I was on the committee previously for the first couple of years, how much I was impressed with the whole programme and seeing it grow and thrive. And I've certainly been very impressed on the two occasions I've visited in my division. And obviously, therefore, I am very, very supportive of the whole thing. And I'd just like to ask a few questions, but also point out a few things which I think deserve to be said. This is a brilliant example to everyone that public-private partnerships actually do work. And to see the way we work with our providers, who are not all public sector, that we have this relationship where people fund from the private sector, is actually quite exemplary, I think. Also the fact that despite the title, it's not all about food. And I think it's fantastic that the children are given the opportunity to do things over and above and outside the national curriculum they wouldn't get in the school curriculum, in the school day, to have the opportunity, and often to do so in an out-of-school environment, at rugby clubs and at art centres, is really good. I would urge you, please invite every member of this council to visit one during, and given that funding is going to be need to be renewed after next April, I would strongly suggest inviting every member of Parliament in Lincolnshire to attend one over the summer as well. I think that's really important that people understand just how good this is, and that you and we have that political support from members, elected members. Again, because there is the question of future funding as well as having the recognition that the whole thing deserves. Just a couple of questions tacked on to the end of this. One of the things obviously that comes out from the map, and one is always conscious that Lincolnshire is a rural county, something that comes out in almost every item on every agenda of every scrutiny committee. Can you just explain what happens with the fact that obviously it's difficult to have provision in villages and in rural areas, but presumably school transport doesn't apply to this, so there is a problem.
Yeah, we do have some transport money should we need it.
Okay, thank you. And the other thing that, again, typically for me, I always ask on these reports is, do we have any comparative data with other counties? Are we actually better than our neighbours, our statistical neighbours? Is that the phrase that we use? Yes. Be very interesting to see. Again, as a point of reference, this is a normal scrutiny question. But anyway, thank you for that.
Thank you, Councillor Cleaver. There's no national data yet, but the DFE are definitely very interested in our programme. They've asked us to compile some more data sets for them. Obviously, we're wanting continuing funding after March 2025, so we're working with the DFE to compile some more data sets for them and further case studies. We do have some, answering the question around transport, it does come with some, it does ring fence some money for transport should we need that for rural, for children to access from rural parts of the county. And obviously, as I said, we do some mapping so that we do get that really good coverage, and we look at where the free school meal eligible children are so that we can make sure they can get to a provision. Yeah, and I agree with you around the public and private private sector partnerships. We've had no problems at all getting quite a lot of funding in from the private sector and been readily funding some of our activities across the whole grant period for 3 years. So we've been really, really pleased to see that commitment from private providers.
Thank you very much. You wish to come back, Councillor Cleaver?
I mean, just to follow up, given that obviously this is a subset of children who are attending, is it possible, and given that we as County Council are subsidising that Call Connect, could we not involve Call Connect in perhaps more actively in allowing children to get to these activity centres in the towns?
Yes, we did involve Core Connect in I don't think we've done it this year, but in the first year of funding, we definitely involved Core Connect. Yes, so that is an option. Yes.
Thanks very much, and I would encourage members to visit a HAF programme if they have one in their division. I think it's great. Councillor Sear, you have a question.
Thank you, Chair. It's very good report, very interesting. I really happy, but in my mind, I look at the map. My division is Maplethorpe and Lower Little Village. Maplethorpe don't have second year in school, but Alfred, Summercourt, Lau, Skegness, Spills, we have second year school. And these are targets, is it for second year school or only, because you talk about rural area, where I am, it is rural area. I see advertising, what happened around Maplethorpe or this event. I didn't see any comment, any social media or anything. And so far, some few community group doing free school, free meal during summer holiday for the children in Maplethorpe and in Chudthorpe. And I wonder where these children come from. Is it Lau, Lincoln, or Lau in city? Not in the rural area. So, it is good idea because you target the children with, parents working and whatever, but what happened between go to second year school? What happened to them? Children, not in a second year school. In the village where I am, they don't have second year school, special Maplethorpe don't have one. And so can you tell me where roughly happened in Maplethorpe? It might be in Skegness. I know Maplethorpe to have a new swimming pool, but it's something to, if you can answer me that and give me some idea, then I could, because some people ask me, where on it? I say, I have no idea. So somehow you have to let the town council, then the local community know where your event is, so the children can join in, not to target a second year school, because the children, the parents soon I say it'll be on social media. Maplesoft don't have any second year school now. So there you go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Councillor Sear. So I think in terms, so there is provision in Mablethorpe. I think we've got 3 providers in Mablethorpe and 2 of them have got secondary provision. I'm looking at my colleagues to nod at me and tell me that I'm right. And I think in terms of the getting that message out so that people know it's there. So we use our own website, we use Facebook, we use a whole range of social media to get that message across. But you're right, in other areas we use the secondary schools to get some of that information through. So what we will, I'm assuming that and I'm just going to check with colleagues, what we do is we use where the children in Mablethorpe go to school, they'll be getting information about the provision in Mablethorpe as well. So hopefully that's getting through to all of the families. But obviously if people are saying to you that they haven't heard about it, we'll take that feedback and I think we'll keep doing all we can and keep promoting it as much as we can.
You wish to come back, Councillor Sear?
Thank you very much. That's very important because I can say, oh, we not do the Facebook. Somehow you got to let them know we got something really good. I keep saying we have this, but they say where. So there you go. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, just to say as well, we'll circulate. I think we have the links in here. And we can circulate the link, so actually you should be able to share with anybody who's messaging you what the link so that they can log on and see everything that's available in their area. We'll make sure we share that around the committee as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much, and that sounds a great idea, Heather, to spread the word, as it were, about the programme. Do we have any other questions or comments from members? I've just got a couple of queries. On page 171, it says non-attendance continues to be an area of concern, and it needs further consideration to ensure, that we get the maximum benefit from public funding. What's being done to identify and address the non-attendance issue? And secondly, and Councillor Cleaver touched on this, obviously the final year of the current settlement is 24 to 25. Do you have any sort of indication of, the long-term sustainability of the programme? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we've completed further marketing with schools directly to encourage them to advise parents about the importance of attendance. We have shared the case studies with the HAF guidance, which also refers to the benefits of HAF improving school attendance. It is hoped that schools understand the importance and share these messages with the families. We've been working with the HAF providers directly to consider how we approach non-attendance, and we're seeking a solution to filling places with waiting lists. We have also promoted the importance of attendance to parents' carers via the HAF providers and provided HAF providers with a letter that they can use to help promote the importance of attendance with parents and the importance of cancelling places where they are no longer able to attend, so that the place can be offered to another child or another young person. And then the second part of your question, both have contributed really. The HAF budget has been utilised by increasing the places offered, ensuring the cost of places is covered for providers, delivering and considering the additional funding that is accessed for enhanced experiences. A combination of these things has resulted in fully utilising budget allocation. The HAF team has also generated the 70,000 in investments last year, and this supported additional resources. As to do with, obviously this is funded now up until March 2025. And we hope that it will be funded after this. The Labour manifesto does not make mention of the HAF programme, and we are waiting further information from the Department for Education on any decisions that might be made longer term. And as I said before, we've been requested by the DfE to participate in additional data gathering to provide evidence of the children accessing provision, to support them to demonstrate the impact of the programme is having. And Lincolnshire have provided lots of examples of different HAF programmes, and it's hopefully presented that to show the difference in impact on children and young people's lives.
Thanks very much. Do we have any further questions or comments from members? No. I would just like to reiterate the suggestion, I think it's Councillor Cleaver mentioned it, that encouraging members to visit a HAF programme if they have it in their division, and not just members of this committee, but our whole councillor body. I think that would be great. If there are no further questions or comments from members, I'd like to move to the proposal, and therefore I propose that the committee has reviewed the report and is satisfied with the HAF programme annual report for 2023-24, and that we support the recommendations to develop the HAF programme for 24-25. And we've had a number of comments and questions which I'm sure have been noted. Can you please raise your hand if you agree with that proposal? Thank you very much. That is agreed. Thank you. And thank you to Nikki and Geraldine for coming today and explaining it to us. I'd like to move on to agenda item 8 now, which is service level performance reporting against the success framework for 23-24, and that's quarter 4. This item can be found on pages 173 to 192 of the agenda pack, and it sets out the quarter 4 performance for the service level performance measures in relation to children's services. Appendix A also details the proposed key performance indicators to be reported to the Children and Young People Scrutiny Committee for 24-25. And again, to recap for the actions required of us, firstly, to review and comment on the Children and Young People service level performance for 23-24 quarter 4, and secondly, to review and agree the 24-25 Children and Young People service level performance indicators and targets as shown in Appendix A. And with that, I'd like to invite Laura Bonner, Head of Service, East Lindsey Locality, to present the report. It's over to you, Laura.
Thank you. I'm mindful that you've read the report and you're already familiar with the service level performance measures, so therefore I'll take you through the highlights. I am pleased to share that 8 of the measures either exceeded or achieved their target. The one measure that did not meet the target is the average time taken to move a child from care to an adoptive family. And you'll be aware from the report in quarter 4 that this cohort of children were impacted by a number of factors, including children having complex needs, birth parents appealing the placement order, and changes of care plans for sibling groups. And all of these factors can extend the time frame. What is not reflected in this measure, though, is that some of the children within this cohort were in early permanence placements or were adopted by their foster carers. And that means that children, whilst experienced longer, they did experience a longer period of stability in that arrangement, as they didn't experience multiple moves. So that's a positive in that sense. We exceeded the target for average time taken to match a child to adoptive family. So despite the national challenges that we face, once we have the authority to place a child for adoption, we do. And our juvenile first-time offenders, this measure achieved the target. And you'll note that this measure has changed in the way it's calculated. And as this is a different reporting measure, this continues to be monitored, but the change in the data has led to an increase in the first rate of first-time offenders that is reported, and that this figure has further increased from last quarter. Our children in care and children who are subject to a child protection plan, those measures achieve the target, and the number of children subject to a plan and children in care will fluctuate, as it's a decision for each child based on risk and factors present. But our early intervention offer remains strong, and families receive effective risk management to ensure that the right children are subject to a child protection plan when required, and where safety cannot be increased or reduced, the right children enter care. You'll see our permanent exclusions, we exceeded the target, and that's excellent to report that our pupil reintegration team robustly continue to support reducing these exclusions. We achieved the target for our free school meals and non-free school meals, and our 16 and 17-year-old children in care participating learning achieved the target as well. Care leavers in suitable accommodation, this achieved the target, and you'll note from the report the percentage of care leavers in suitable accommodation, with the definition of suitable accommodation being very strict. But positively, there's been a decline in the number of children and young people, in custody, which has impacted positively on their lives, but also this statistic. That concludes my report. Thank you, Chair, and happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, Laura. Do we have any questions from members? Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chairman. I know I always ask this question, but I feel it's quite important, as it has quite an impact on the services we provide. Do we know, how close we are to, with respect to the number of unaccompanied children that we have to take as per the National Transfer Scheme? And secondly, Chairman, have officers had any communication from the new government of any possible changes in this area in terms of the threshold of that number that we have to take, 'cause currently I believe it's 0.1% of population, especially given the comments that have been made recently in the press about the current government, quote, putting on hold their plan to tackle migration, close quote.
Heather, you're going to respond?
Yeah, I can. Thank you. So in terms of reaching that 0.1%, we're not at that point yet. And of course, a lot of the young people who come into our care through that scheme are almost 18. So they move then into the care leavers and out of our 0.1% statistic. So we continue to see a flow of young people coming into our care through that route. We've had no communication to date about the new government's plans for the unaccompanied asylum-seeking children, other than we know that the Rwanda bill is not being progressed. We're waiting to see what happens with the Immigration Act. Thank you.
Thanks very much. You didn't wish to come back, did you, Councillor? No, that's fine. Thanks very much. Anybody else with questions? No one else indicating. Actually, following on from what has just been said as regards new government policy, I understand the new government is planning to introduce a children's wellbeing bill, which will require free breakfast clubs to be provided in all primary schools in England. In relation to the 24-25 measures, will there be a need for a new measure to monitor the performance of the implementation of this requirement, or would it be picked up somewhere else in the system?
From my early years colleagues, I'm aware that the development of the breakfast places is within the National Wraparound Programme, and that this will be reported on by the Early Years and Childcare Support Team. And the new proposal is a breakfast entitlement for children in school, and the take-up of this will be monitored by the Early Years and Childcare Support Team, who will report on this. But as you're aware, the majority of the primary schools are academies, and that would be a difficult position for us to enforce reporting on breakfast clubs, but it would be dependent upon what is required by the government, but it may be something that we could provide internally.
It strikes me as a sort of wait and see situation at the moment. Yeah, we're early days on that one. Do we have any other further questions and comments from members? No? I'd therefore like to move to a proposal that I propose that the committee has reviewed the report and is satisfied with the children and young people service level performance for 2023-24 quarter 4, and that we agree the 24-25 children and young people service level performance indicators and targets as shown in Appendix A. And obviously we've had some comments recorded. Can you please raise your hand if you agree with that proposal? Thank you very much. That is unanimous. We'll now move on to item 9, which is the Children and Young People Scrutiny Work Programme. And this item set out our work programme for 24-25, and it's found on pages 193 to 198 of your agenda pack. Again, the actions required of this committee are to firstly review and agree the work programme as set out in the report, and to highlight for discussion any additional scrutiny activity which could be considered for inclusion in the work programme. So I'd like to invite Chiara, Scrutiny Officer, to present the report. Over to you, Chiara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Since the publication of this work programme, there has only been one amendment identified, and that is the Minerva House project, which was initially scheduled for consideration in September. It has now been deferred to October 2024. Further than that, there have been no other amendments. However, in the next meeting on the 6th of September, when the committee will be considering the Lincolnshire Safeguarding Children's Partnership Annual Report for 2023, there will also be an update on childcare sufficiency in Lincolnshire for quarter 1 performance, and one pre-decision item in relation to building communities of specialist provision, phase 2 of this. Other than that, if there's any other items that you would like to see included or considered for inclusion in the next months, please do liaise with us. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Chiara. Do we have any comments, suggestions from members of the committee? No? Oh, Councillor Cleaver.
Just one thing. I wonder whether in December, probably the right time, just to have some stats to consider about school admissions? Because there's the October census, isn't there? So that should be known by December.
Heather, can you enlighten us on that, or Martin?
I can try. I think we have a statutory paper that we bring through around admissions, and I think the bringing it's not a problem. The when we bring it will depend on when the data is validated and confirmed and can go into the public domain. So if you're happy for us to take that away and have a look at that, that'd be fine. Thank you.
Great, many thanks for that, thank you. If there are no further comments or suggestions from members of the committee, I'd like to move to the proposal. I propose that the work programme is agreed. Can you please raise your hand if you agree with that? Thank you very much, that is agreed. Well, that now concludes the business of the meeting. Thanks to all the members present for their attendance and to officers for their contributions this morning, and I'd like to wish you an enjoyable summer break and see you back in September. Thank you very much.